DogDay is the most underrated character of all, and despite the fact that he's been given the least amount of time, he's already managed to make a huge number of Poppy Playtime fans fall in love with him. Hello everyone. In one of my previous videos, I told you about the history of almost all of the smiling critters and the chances of them appearing in Chapter 4. However, DogDay was hardly mentioned, and judging by your requests in the comments, I realized that many of you really want to know about his fate in Chapter 4 and if there is any chance of his return. Before we start, let's talk about who DogDay is. DogDay is one of the 8 smiling creatures that the developers have officially revealed to us. He is a very friendly creature who never wanted to hurt anyone, and unlike his companion Catnap, DogDay did not obey the prototype and did not fight on its side. On his cardboard, we can hear a very interesting message that we should not stay here and we should run away. He repeats the same message later in his monologue. He also told us a lot of interesting things. Let's listen to what he told us.
Catnap. The prototype is his god, and this is what he does to heretics. These little toys follow Catnap to avoid that very fate. And in return, they are fed. We try to fight it. The prototype's control. I am the last of the smiling critters.
From his monologue, we can understand that he is the last survivor of all the smiling critters. But then there is a reasonable question why he did not say a word about Catnap, who was still alive at that time. Maybe after the betrayal, all the other smiling critters turned their backs on Cat and no longer considered him their friend. Well, and it was also DogDay who told us that the prototype was Catnap's boss, and that we should try our best to get out of this place to save what's left of Playtime Co. But the most interesting thing for me was the fact that DogDay could have become the prototype's assistant, and then his body would have been intact, but he refused. For what he paid for, and as he said himself, the prototype killed the heretic. In general, we can say that there was no malice in the actions or words of our unfortunate dog, and he is probably the only positive character among those we have not yet seen. And now the saddest part, after which you will discover all the secrets of DogDay and get the answer to the main question. Is DogDay really dead, and will he be able to come back in Chapter 4? Before the angry toys rushed to devour what was left of DogDay, he begged us to run as fast as we could to find Poppy and help her. By the way, it was DogDay who told us the truth about the smiling critters. They are all under the control of Catnap, and it is he who makes them do such terrible things just to survive. More specifically, Catnap feeds these toys if they obey him, and after the toys jumped on DogDay's body and took it over, that's when the chase began. But it wasn't DogDay that was being chased, it was just his body under the control of the toys, but luckily in the end we were able to escape and close the door right in front of him. And in that case, you can say I'm crazy for speculating about whether he might survive, because it's kind of obvious that he's dead. But is it as simple as many people think, or is the short amount of time our dog was given no coincidence, and do the developers still have plans for this character? Let's settle this once and for all and find out if DogDay is really dead or if he managed to survive. And if he managed to stay alive, will we see him in Chapter 4 and as who? Remember what I said a few seconds ago about the closed door? And that is the main key to wondering what will happen to DogDay next. In the case of Miss Delight, it's actually pretty obvious because we've split her body into 2 pieces that can't be put back together. But let's talk about DogDay. I have some theories about what really happened to him and what will happen next. Let's agree that you will listen to all the possibilities and then write in the comments which theory you like best. And if you don't like any of my theories, you can always write your own version in the comments. We all remember that DogDay mentioned Poppy several times during his monologue, and that tells us that they know each other quite well and have probably seen each other several times. And now I'm going to tell you something you probably never thought of. Let's remember who Poppy mentioned but we've never seen. Of course I'm talking about one of the most mysterious characters in Chapter 3, Ollie. What if DogDay is Ollie? Maybe he's the one who's been helping us all along, in which case I can safely say that we have a good chance of seeing him back in Chapter 4. After all, as I said, we can't be sure that DogDay is really dead, which means that after we close the door, all the monsters that took over DogDay's body could have just left him and left DogDay to die, which means that our beloved Poppy could very well pick him up and perform some sort of rescue and bring DogDay back to life. And in this case, our DogDay will be one of the most ardent opponents of the prototype. And since I'm sure that Chapter 4 will be mainly dedicated to the prototype, most likely even somewhere in the beginning of the new chapter, we will get another call from Ollie, and after a few seconds we will see Poppy together with Ollie holding a phone, and this mysterious boy will be DogDay. This next theory is a two-way theory, and it's actually the craziest one you're going to hear today. But I have no right to keep it from you, at least because you might smile a few times while listening. First, let's imagine the moment when the prototype and DogDay met, and the prototype asked him to become his assistant, but DogDay refused. I'm sure this happened long before we first saw Catnap, and after that, DogDay realized that if he stayed alive as he was, he would surely die. And there's this crazy theory that in order to survive, DogDay built a suit that looked like him and put it on someone from Smiling Critters. Like Bobby Bearhug, and pre-cut their vocal cords to make their voice rougher, so instead of DogDay getting the wrath of the prototype and Catnap, it was our sweet Bobby. That's the craziest thing you'll hear today, but I had to tell you. But what if you believe that DogDay actually did something similar? He actually fought Catnap and got wounded but still managed to survive, and to avoid getting caught, he was able to construct a so-called puppet and provided it in his place. And in that case, we will definitely meet our DogDay in Chapter 4. Let's look at another option for DogDay's return in Chapter 4. As far as we understood from the conversation, the prototype really wanted DogDay to obey him in addition to Catnap. That is, he saw him as a pretty strong character who could help him accomplish his plans. Do you agree that it seems very strange that DogDay told us that he was the last of the smiling creatures, but on the cardboards of the other creatures, we can clearly hear their screams? So we can clearly understand that each of them refused to cooperate with the prototype and was soon brutally killed. But why was DogDay the only one that the prototype just wounded and left alive? He could have been around for a long time, but no one touched him, and only after we met him did they try to kill him. I think the prototype intentionally left our dog to die so that he would agree to be his assistant out of desperation. But after DogDay helped us, the prototype realized that he had no chance to make DogDay his assistant, and decided to kill him so that after his death he could take his body and somehow reincarnate and achieve his goal for DogDay. But unfortunately, in this case, we will only see the image of our dog in Chapter 4, and he will definitely fight against us. But you have to agree that it's better for us to forget him forever, as we saw him in Chapter 3, than to let him fall into the hands of a prototype. But what if all of this is just theory? Actually, there is that possibility, but listen to me carefully now. I've already said that theoretically, after the door closes, the critter's toys could just leave his body and leave him to die. What if we meet DogDay in a new chapter in exactly the same place we last saw him, and he would be alive, but very weak, but still able to tell us something? That would be really interesting. And now it's time to summarize and answer any questions you may have. DogDay is indeed the most underrated character who was given too little time. I would even say that it's kind of disrespectful to such a character. I, like many of you, would like to know more about what really happened to him, what he knows about the prototype and Catnap, DogDay's version of the whole situation with Smiling Critters, and why Catnap was the traitor. Almost none of this information has been told to us, and it is this information that can help us and Poppy defeat the corporation's greatest evil. I think the developers realize how important DogDay's character can be in the story of the new chapter. And considering the fact that even though we've only seen 3-4 minutes of DogDay, he already has a huge fan base that insists that Mob Entertainment should bring back our dog. And I agree with every one of them, so I'm 85% sure that Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 will show us DogDay. Maybe it won't be the main character or one of the main characters, but I think most fans will be satisfied with a small supporting role where DogDay will tell all the information he knows about this creepy but interesting place. And before we end our video, I would like to wish you all the best and say see you soon in new videos. Bye everybody, bye bye.